We have a goal.
To create one of the top women's flag football teams in the country.
We've been playing flag football for over 10 years, but never at an elite level like we've experienced so far in the USA flag tournaments we've joined.
Our Rise squad has competed at tournaments in Miami, New Jersey, and just recently Nashville.
After our first tournament in Miami, we realized we had a lot of work to do. We played really well, but there were definitely some kinks we needed to work out.
Our second tournament experience in New Jersey was even worse as we had an early playoff exit.
This squad has a ton of individual talent, but as a team, we're still fairly new to this competitive flag scene, whereas a lot of the teams we're facing have been playing together for years and have a lot more practice under their belts than we do. So in this video, we're taking you behind the scenes of our third tournament in Nashville.
We'll break down some plays, tell you what worked, what didn't work, and give you a feel for what high-level competitive flag looks like. Look at this squad.
Hey.
Wow.
Good morning.
Are you ready?
Good morning. Look at you, you're looking fresh for getting here 3 hours ago.
All right, it's day one, USA Flag, Nashville, Tennessee, 5s tournament. So going into Nashville, I was actually pretty nervous about the whole state of the team. We had a lot of new faces. Some people weren't even local, so we never had a full team practice until we got to the actual field in Nashville.
Recapping the defense real quick, right? Just picking up any sort of short, quick out, quick flat route, quick drag from the other side. That's all you're really looking out for.
One of the new faces, Tara, is actually a collegiate flag football player for Baker University, and actually met her as a free agent. We were both free agents at a recent tournament before Nashville, and she absolutely balled out, and so we very quickly recruited her to come join us for Nashville. And then from there, she actually recruited her friend Jada, who plays for Ottawa University, so they're both collegiate flag football players, and the two of them, not only did their personalities immediately jive with the team, but they just went off. Like, they were scoring touchdowns left and right, and it was an immediate great decision on our part to recruit them.
Throughout each of the games, they were pitching, lateraling, pulling off these fancy flag moves. It was really cool to see, especially for us as old school flag football players, seeing this new school way. Jada was teaching you some of her moves on the sideline, and then the very next offensive series, you went and started pulling moves like left and right.
Yeah, she was telling me all about, like, she was like, you're right there, but you're just like, she's like, you're turning your hips, but you're not getting your back foot out of the way. And so she's like showing me how to get the back foot out of the way and turn the hips all the way. And
it's like showing, I'm like, you're dislocating your spine to get here, but it's working, it's effective.
Our other new addition to the team, but very much a veteran in flag football and contact football, was Shantae Bonds. She was on Team USA for both flag and for tackle. She's won 5 championships with the Boston Renegades, which is our local tackle women's league. So she's an absolute rock star. I've played against her my whole life, and it was really nice to actually play with her on the team for the first time. On the field, she was just so good, so reliable. She knows the game so well, and she played lockdown corner for us. And on top of that, she's just like the nicest person in the world. So it was such a great addition to have her on the team.
So yeah, even though a third of our team was technically new, we still had really high hopes. And I feel like as soon as we hit the field, it was like a finely tuned machine.
Set, go.
Our quarterback, Sam Taggart, just marched down the field time and time again, just calmly, confidently, with great communication skills. And the offense was just clicking on all cylinders. Now, if this was a PPR league, points per reception in fantasy football, you, Lauren, and Stoney would be absolute first-round draft picks, like shoo-ins. They are both route tacticians with great hands. Lauren has unbelievable speed, which makes for a quarterback's best friend because you can get open so quickly. Stoney, in the red zone, she's just unstoppable. Boxes everyone out, always in the right position, always in the right spot at the right time. She had so many touchdowns, so many extra point conversions. So you two, plus Sam Taggart, and then obviously our 2 college recruits, like, it was a dangerous weapon of an offense.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's strengths really complemented each other, so defenses really had to respect all 4 of us every single play. So those first 2 games were all about seeding, and we actually ended up with the 1 seed. Next up were playoffs, and it was single elimination, so the stakes are really high. We ended up not only winning our first playoff game, but we took the second one too, and again, the offense was so solid, and all 4 receivers were contributing so much to the team.
Now, what you'll notice about the scores from these 4 games was that the point differential was 91-6, which meant that as good as our offense was, our defense was just as good. We had pitched 3 shutouts in a row, and in large part to incredible communication and shutdown defense. Jamie, our free safety and undisputed MVP of the weekend, I think had 10 picks or 11 picks on day 1. And then our rusher, Monica, had 10 sacks on day 1, so it was just like an unstoppable duo. Sam, our lockdown corner, added another couple picks and a ton of pass defenses. And Stoney played both ways as our workhorse linebacker and pulled literally every flag that was in her vicinity.
And that takes us to game 5. If we win this game, we have a chance to play for the national championship for USA Flag Football.
2 possible games, yeah. So this is semis right here. Semis and then finals.
I don't know how. If she's gonna delay rush and just stop right here, this girl is literally just gonna sit here, wait for her to leave and get a wide open ball.
If I started here, she does the fake rush and then decides.
Oh, I see. So you start
I'm
close
in the
and then you
four,
drop back.
And then she comes, and then I just take a step back, and then we can decide.
Their quarterback, it's either a short bullet pass or she waits, and then heaves it up. They might trash talk. Just keep level heads. Rise on 3. 1, 2, 3, rise!
Okay, so this game was really brutal. Their opening drive, they took it to midfield, and then we forced what we thought was a 3 and out. But then they called a somewhat questionable roughing the passer, which gave them a first down. Then we forced what we thought was another 3 and out, but again, they called another roughing the passer on 3rd down. And then they finally punched in the score on their final down of their 3rd set of downs. So they basically had 9 full downs to work with at the halfway point instead of 3. They ended up scoring, and it left us with about a minute to halftime. So we had to take a bunch of low percentage throws, and we ended up down at halftime 6-7-0.
Yeah, we just struggled to move the ball on offense, and then we ended up giving up a pick 6 early in the second half, which made the score 13-0.
Now at this point, I should have had the offense march down the field more methodically, but because their defense was playing pretty aggressively up, almost like a 4-cross look, I felt inclined to call plays that were deeper, and in hindsight, that was a bad call, especially since their rusher didn't allow for enough time for those plays to actually develop. So after that pick 6 early in the second half, I think it was just back and forth defensive battles, 3 and outs and stuff like that. So the score ended up being 13-0 at the end of that 5th and final game for us in that format.
Yeah, so we were out of that format, but overall, that format, like in general, was the best that we've ever played as a team. So we were super proud of everyone and felt really good about how we did overall.
Ultimately, we fell short in this one, but I'm still proud of the team. We still have this afternoon, and then we got Saturday morning.
Okay, so now after having already played 5 games in 85-degree weather, we had another format that afternoon called Air It Out Coed. So this format is pretty interesting. Essentially, you have 4 female offensive players and 1 male quarterback, along with 4 female defensive players and 1 male rusher. So I was both excited, but also really nervous for this format. I'd played quarterback a ton back in the day in a co-ed format, and Lauren and I won quite a lot of championships and tournaments, but it had been around 5 years since I played quarterback competitively.
I was so excited for this format, especially because we just have so much history, and we've always had such a good connection on the field. People used to say it was unfair that we got to play on the same team together, so I really wanted to see what could happen in a more competitive environment. And sure enough, we picked right back up where we left off. You hit me on a few deep balls, including this wheel route for a touchdown, and then you also got me on a ton of sideline throws too.
Overall, I felt pretty happy about my performance, but my Achilles heel was definitely avoiding the rusher. In any of the previous leagues I was in, I was more of a running quarterback, but in this format, I wasn't allowed to run past the line of scrimmage at all, so I couldn't use my legs as effectively as I would have liked. So that made me scramble for my life on a lot of plays. I made bad decisions, I threw a couple picks, I got sacked a couple times, so it wasn't the best overall outcome that I would have liked, but at the end of the day, I felt generally happy with how I played.
I mean, we just had a ton of fun out there, and at the end of the day, we also got to play with your friend Alex, aka AK. That's hard to say.
AKA AK.
And he was just great vibes and so good to be around, so that was a great addition to our team too.
Appreciate you guys. Anytime y'all need a rusher, let me know. I love doing this. Let me know.
Yeah, AK absolutely brought the energy when we needed it the most because it was raining, our team was tired at this point. Unfortunately, Jada pulled her hamstring on this play right here, and she still actually managed to score on 1 leg, which was hilarious, but obviously sucked knowing that we had another format the next day. But overall, I thought it went decently well, even with an early playoff exit, and that takes us to day 2.
Day 2, format 3 was tough. Unlike day 1, it was just a bright ball of sun this day, and we were all tired, sore, and it was hot.
Yeah, you guys were absolutely hurting. Jada's hamstring was okay enough to play, but she was nowhere near full capacity, so it was kind of rough sledding to start things.
And to top it all off, in our seeding rounds, we played one of the top women's flag football teams out there called VA Elite.
Yeah, this was a battle right from the start. I mean, both teams were making play after play. There were a lot of star players on each team. I think both teams played really good defense, but ultimately we ended up falling a little bit short, losing 13-7 to them.
We then did win our second seeding round versus a team called ? We won it 14-0, and then we beat this really cool team that traveled all the way from the Cayman Islands. They were called the Cayman Islands. And we ended up beating them 15-0 for the first round of playoffs. So those 2 games went really well.
So yet again, in the first 3 games, our defense gave up only 13 points. But at this point, we were truly gassed for round 2 of the playoffs against our fellow New England team, UGQ. We took you off of offense to have you rush. Then we had Monica take over Stoney's spot as linebacker. Basically, we were kind of in rough shape.
Still, our team gave everything we had, and this game was just all about tough defense.
Yeah, I think the biggest story for that game in general was your rushing capabilities, as well as UGQ's rusher as well. I feel like any good defense starts with a good rush, good pressure on the quarterback, which makes it so much easier on the coverage people. And you two were really going at it. I think you had like 3 sacks and a ton of hurries. But ultimately, it was just like a defensive battle.
Yeah, they ended up making a couple plays, and we ended up barely missing a couple plays, and we ended up losing to them 7-0.
Yeah, that was a tough loss, but ultimately this weekend, you guys took 6 out of 9 possible games, which is a massive improvement from our first 2 tournaments.
Overall, super proud of this team, super happy with how we came together, even though so many of us hadn't played together before, especially not in a tournament setting. And that takes a lot of these teams have been playing together for years, and so it really takes a lot of talent to come together and do as well as we did. Plus, the vibes are always great, and overall, it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to our quarterback, Sam Taggart. This was her 3rd tournament, but she's never played in a league before.
Right.
She hasn't played in 5, she hasn't played in 8s. Like, we're just starting to play with her in future tournaments later on this year, but this is just her 3rd time playing quarterback in general.
Ever.
So
Yeah.
she's been balling out, and each tournament she gets better and better. So I just know the rise is coming for Rise.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I went home with so many notes. I've been researching like crazy. I've been like buying books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos. I've been trying to just revamp our playbook, trying to think about little tweaks that we can make to the defense. We're just so close to like crossing that next threshold, and I'm just really excited to see the potential for the Rise squad. Our next stop is going to be World Championships for USA Flag in January of 2025 in Tampa.
So huge shout out to our entire Rise team. Thank you for balling out, for putting it all out there, and the road to Tampa starts now.